as the West Coast is slammed with another major storm. Torrential rains battering the already hard-hit area. Fears of flooding, mudslides, and powerful wind gusts after that deadly storm. This sinkhole swallowing cars, a freeway crumbling, taking this fire truck with it. Millions on alert right now.
Also this morning, rallying his supporters.
We will continue to win, win, win.
President Trump pumping up supporters at a campaign event just 1 month on the job. Now facing backlash for what he said about an incident in Sweden that never happened.
You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden.
And saying the media is not his enemy, but the enemy of the American people.
The assassination caught on camera. New surveillance footage of the moment two attackers reportedly target the brother of the North Korean leader, poisoning him in a matter of seconds. The race to find the suspects this morning.
And breaking overnight, a terrifying accident on the track.
Can you send me another ambulance to the Speedway emergency? We've had a pretty big accident.
A race car flipping.
Cars upside down, flipping wildly in turn 2.
Crashing through a fence and into the stands. Injuring spectators, one airlifted to the hospital.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
We do say good morning, America, on this Monday morning. Great to have David Muir here with us on
Great
this
to be
holiday.
here.
Happy President's Day.
Happy President's Day. Just some math here for you this morning. 1,353 days until the next presidential election. President Trump out there holding a re-election campaign rally this weekend. That's starting too soon. But we're also going to get into those comments about Sweden, that incident he talked about, and what that caused. Global headlines because of that.
And, a lot of big headlines about the weather. And a major storm in Texas overnight. More than 100 homes were damaged in San Antonio. You can see the scene right there.
Wow.
Homes were flattened. Nearly 40,000 people are without power. And we're going to go straight to Ginger, who's on top of all of that. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning to you, Michael. A lot of this happened in the early morning hours. You can see the significant damage pictures. We are so fortunate. Only 5 reported minor injuries. That storm is not done. That line of storms now threatening Houston with severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood watches. But we want to go straight to San Antonio, where we find our Katrina Weber from our affiliate KSAT in the latest from the damage.
There will be no holiday off for people in this neighborhood and others throughout San Antonio, all as a result of the weather that came through last night. It ripped roofs right off of homes, also dumped debris in front yards. There's a house right on the corner that's missing its roof. We understand there are more than 40 homes in this neighborhood alone, more than 100 throughout the city that have been damaged. We also have had reports of fires related to the weather and about a half dozen minor injuries, all from that storm last night. Back to you, Ginger.
Katrina, thank you. Now San Antonio clear, but that line, as I mentioned, in East Texas going to move east. Look at Monday, 8 p.m. right there in parts of central Louisiana. Little Rock getting it by later this afternoon and tonight. So the threat not over for severe weather. You could see hail damaging winds. And then we have to talk about the West. Wind advisories, high wind warnings, and flood watches that are just plastering Northern California now after that busy Southern California weekend. We're looking for more moisture. Look, it's stemming all the way from Hawaii. I said, wow, look at that Pineapple Express really feeding in, Michael. And the rainfall rates, totals, are going to be in that 4 to 6 inch range.
All right. Thank you, Jen. There's a lot of rain right there. Let's go to Neil Karlinski, who is in San Francisco, where they're on alert for flash flooding. And good morning to you, Neil.
Michael, good morning. In the last few hours here, it has really started coming down. Just the latest in a series of storms drenching this region, threatening even more flooding and mudslides.
Holy
This morning, the Golden State set to be slammed with heavy rain again after a weekend of flash flooding wreaked havoc on the roads. Over the weekend, a powerful storm dumping as much as 10 inches of rain in some areas.
I've never seen it like this around here.
At least 5 people killed, including one man trapped underwater in his car. Those floodwaters also eroding the streets.
There it goes.
This massive sinkhole in Studio City swallowing 2 cars, the drivers plunging into a raging river. Rescue crews finding one woman standing on her car screaming for help. Roads crumbling across the state. Watch as a fire truck just falls off the ledge of a crumbling freeway. Luckily, no one was inside the truck. North of here, the Oroville Dam that caused so much concern last week seems to be holding up well. The concern today is for flooding in low-lying areas that are really getting drenched. Robin?
I sure don't need that as I see it coming down, Neil. Thank you. Now to the latest on President Trump, facing new fallout over his comments at a rally in Florida where he defended the White House and once again attacked the media. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has much more on all that. Good morning, Cecilia.
Robin, good morning to you. Today marks 1 month to the day into Donald Trump's presidency, and he is already campaigning for a second term. The president hit the road for a re-election rally, and he is taking aim at his favorite target, the media. The president's holiday weekend spent at his favorite home away from home, Mar-a-Lago.
The President of the United States.
And enjoying one of his favorite pastimes, pumping up thousands of cheering supporters.
We will continue to win, win, win.
Just 1 month on the job, and this was President Trump's re-election kickoff, a Florida campaign rally with Air Force One as a backdrop.
The White House is running so smoothly, so smoothly. And believe me, I and we inherited one big mess.
No Donald Trump rally would be complete without a healthy dose of media bashing.
When the media lies to people, I will never, ever let them get away with it. I will do whatever I can that they don't get away with it. They have their own agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda.
The latest onslaught follows this tweet, the president declaring all-out war on journalists, calling them the enemy of the American people. Republican Senator John McCain quick to denounce the attacks.
If you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
Even Fox News anchor Chris Wallace says the president went too far.
Look, we're big boys. We criticize presidents. They want to criticize us back. That's fine.
Yeah.
But when he said that the fake news media is not my enemy, it's the enemy of the American people, I believe that crosses an important line.
But White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus coming to the president's defense.
I think that the problem we've got is that we're talking about bogus stories. And I think that the media needs to, in some cases, not every case, John, but in some cases really needs to get its act together.
And the president returns to Washington today, Robin. On the agenda this week, that new travel ban executive order.
As we await that, Cecilia, tell us the latest in the search to replace General Flynn.
Well, of course, the second choice for President Trump declined the job. The president this weekend did meet with 4 possible picks. Let's take a look at those names right there on that list. Former UN Ambassador John Bolton. The rest, military brass, Lieutenant General Robert Caslin, retired General Keith Kellogg, and Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. Robin, the president says he hopes to make this pick very soon.
We'll see. All right, Cecilia, thank you.
All right, Robin. At his rally on Saturday, the president also sparking confusion and global backlash with his comments about Sweden and what he said had happened, while U.S. officials, including the vice president, were trying to reassure Europe about America's commitment. So let's go to our chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, in London this morning. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, David. This morning, European leaders, they're kind of baffled by President Donald Trump, and not just by his off-the-cuff remarks about Sweden that you mentioned, but also, and more important, by his confusing and contradictory foreign policy so far.
This was the moment that triggered the latest flap. President Trump this weekend riffing on terror in Europe, alluding to some kind of incident in Sweden and sparking considerable confusion.
You look at what's happening in Germany. You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden. They took in large numbers. They're having problems like they never thought possible.
The problem, there was no incident in Sweden, and the Swedes were not happy with the insinuation that their generous refugee policy had resulted in a terror attack. The Swedish government promptly asking the State Department for clarification. And the former Swedish Prime Minister tweeting, Sweden? Terror attack? What has he been smoking? Later, President Trump took to Twitter explaining that his statement was in reference to a story that was broadcast on Fox News concerning immigrants in Sweden. That story didn't mention a terror attack. There haven't been any in Sweden in more than 5 years. All this as Vice President Pence, also in the international spotlight, taking his first overseas trip, meeting world leaders like Angela Merkel, and extending a diplomatic olive branch at the Munich Security Conference.
On behalf of President Trump, I bring you this assurance. The United States of America strongly supports NATO and will be unwavering in our commitment to this transatlantic alliance.
This morning in Brussels, the vice president continued the charm offensive, saying President Trump wants strong relations with the EU. But U.S. allies here remain rattled. They remember President Trump calling NATO obsolete, cozying up to Vladimir Putin, even as Russia threatens Europe. And right now, they basically see the American president as erratic. David?
All right, plenty to jump into on this President's Day. Terry, thanks. I want to bring in ABC's Matthew Dowd and Amy Holmes, a political analyst for Rasmussen Reports. Great to have you both here with us this morning. Matt, first off, you've got the president saying the fake news media is not his enemy, but the enemy of the American people, the fake news. Then the president goes out during a campaign rally and says, you look at what's happening last night in Sweden, who would believe this, he asked. But of course, we know there was no incident in Sweden. The president did explain later he had seen something on Fox News. But the president bashing fake news and then making reference to an incident that never happened, Matt?
Well, it is rather bizarre, as we know. One thing I'd recommend to the president, he don't go after ABBA or meatballs at this point. He ought to stay away from both of them. I think this is a problem in the media. Most of the media has now united in saying that, listen, we ought to get to the truth. And the president of the United States ought to be the first person that speaks the truth. If he doesn't want fake news, he ought to not enunciate things that he knows, either he knows or he's unknowingly saying stuff that just isn't true.
Matt, I'm going to turn to Amy here in the meantime. National security, you know, the president still has to fill General Flynn's role after having to fire him, citing issues of trust. You've got the labor secretary who dropped out. I want to play what Republican Senator John McCain said overseas in Munich, trying to reassure European leaders about a White House he described as one in disarray. Take a listen.
I think that the Flynn issue obviously is something that shows that in many respects this administration is in disarray.
You had the president telling the American people late last week the White House is a fine-tuned machine. Senator McCain says it's a White House in disarray. Which is it?
I think it is a forensic look at making the sausage in politics. And if you remember President Obama, when he was looking to fill up his cabinet, he had some bumps along the road. We're 1 month into President Trump's presidency. And in point of fact, for this NSA advisor, he did have someone who said yes, Michael Flynn. Now he has to cast the net back out.
But Matt, you saw the campaign rally over the weekend in Florida. This is a campaign rally for re-election. I mentioned at the top, 1,353 days until the next presidential election. Awfully early for this.
Yeah, and I would say I have two problems. I mean, I think it's good for Donald Trump's psyche, and I think that was the primary driver of this. Sort of he gets in front of adoring fans, and he feeds off of this. But I think two problems. One is you don't want to start doing campaigns so that everybody thinks the prism from which you're making decisions is political. And two, if you want to unite the American people, speaking to just your fan club isn't going to help.
All right, Matt Dowd, Amy Holmes with us this morning. Great to have you on President's Day.
Happy President's
Yes,
Day.
thanks so much. I'm going to get it over to Michael.
All right, thank you, David. And turning now to new video of that attack at an airport that killed the North Korean leader's half-brother. Police are searching for more suspects this morning, and let's go to Lama Hassan for the latest. Good morning, Lama.
And good morning to you, Michael. In a plot seemingly ripped out of a Hollywood movie, now the latest twist. Dramatic new video giving us what appears to be a blow-by-blow account of Kim Jong-nam's assassination. Overnight, Japanese TV releasing this grainy surveillance video from Kuala Lumpur airport. It shows the moment two female assassins reportedly attack Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
They have trained assassination squads for years, including women, both to do bombings, suicide missions, murders like this one. So it's sort of their trademark.
Watch as one woman approaches him from behind, grab him, and according to police, cover his face with a cloth laced with a liquid. The entire ambush taking just seconds. The video also shows Kim Jong-nam seeking help, miming to airport officials what just happened to him, later suffering a seizure and dying. This is Malaysian police release photos of 11 suspects they believe are connected to the assassination, arresting 4, including one whose mother claims her daughter was duped into believing she was taking part in a prank TV show. Well, the manhunt is on for 4 men, all believed to be North Korean or on the run, fleeing the very same day Kim Jong-nam was attacked. This as a diplomatic spat is heating up this morning. The North Korean ambassador demanding from the Malaysians to hand over Kim Jong-nam's body, saying they just can't trust the investigation. Michael.
Wow, seems like a long way from over.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. Now, Amy has the morning's other top stories, starting with the Secretary of Defense arriving in Iraq.
That is correct. Defense Secretary James Mattis arriving unannounced in Baghdad today, just as major new operation there begins. Iraqi troops have launched an offensive to retake the western half of Mosul, the last ISIS stronghold in Iraq. Meanwhile, today, Secretary Mattis reassured the Iraqis that the U.S. does not plan to seize their oil. That was an idea once floated by President Trump. 2 Canadian lawmakers are calling on their government to stop the flow of people illegally crossing into the country from the United States. There's been a surge in the number of people walking across the border to claim refugee status. During one night this weekend, 22 people were taken into custody in a small town north of the Minnesota border. And history was made at the NBA All-Star Game in New Orleans. Anthony Davis from the home team scoring a record 52 points. The West beat the East 192 to 182.
Defense! Defense!
I love that.
Lack of that. No defense.
All right, finally, how does the 3rd richest man in the world spend his money? Wisely. Warren Buffett once shared lunch with Bill Gates while they were traveling in Hong Kong, and now Gates has spilled the beans on what happened. He says Buffett offered to pay at McDonald's, then dug into his pocket and pulled out some coupons to save on the meal. Buffett is apparently a regular at McDonald's, and we all know he's famous for being frugal. He still lives in the same home he bought for $31,500.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
defense. Don't spend that money.
He's chanting savings.
Even when it comes to your money, right?
You got that right. Hey, we had that crash at a racetrack overnight. A car flipping through a fence into the stands, injuring 3 people. Gio Benitez is here, has all those details for us. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Robin, good morning. We're talking about very serious injuries here. People just trying to enjoy the race when the car catapults into the air and slams into them. Overnight, a frightening wreck at Florida's Volusia Speedway.
Car's upside down, flipping wildly in turn 2.
Watch as Dale Blaney's dirt car goes airborne, flipping upside down, crashing through a fence and into the stands, severely injuring 3 spectators.
The accident occurred in the Speedway, race car into the stands.
All 3 transported to hospitals in critical condition. One, a British man visiting the country with friends and family.
Can you send me another ambulance to the Speedway emergency? We've had a pretty big accident.
Blaney's car flipping after tangling up with 2 other cars at the half-mile oval. All drivers walking away from the crash with no injuries. This is the 2nd time in 4 days where a car cleared a fence at Volusia. On Wednesday night, Joey Saldana's car flew into the pit. No one was injured. And incredibly, the driver in this latest crash wasn't hurt. A witness there said the fans were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. No doubt everyone is thinking about those 3 people right now. They're still in the hospital.
Absolutely. All right, Gio, thank you. We're going to go back over to Ginger now. With that warm weather, so many of us we had a great weekend with that.
Oh, so many people are just enjoying it. It's like that first taste of spring, a little early. You can see here, Albertville, Minnesota, they were golfing with just a little bit of snow left. With that lack of snow cover, a lot of folks were able to break records. We were 1 degree shy in New York City, hit a high of 65 on Sunday. We'll have a lot more mild air, not only today, but through much of the week. Much more on that coming up. But first, the select cities brought to you by Walmart.
Walmart reached out to 4 award-winning directors, gave them a receipt, and said, tell a story.
You have given a receipt with 6 items.
The receipt becomes the clue.
We wanted to embrace the randomness instead of fight against it.
I'm very curious to see what they're making.
Mine's is going to be the best, though.
I assume ours will be weirder than theirs. This is a competition, right?
Yeah. We win a Walmart, right?
And a very good morning, meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Happy President's Day. Hopefully you have the day off you're enjoying. It'll be a nice day. Now, not quite the 71 we had downtown yesterday, but 62, still well above the average of 48. enjoy it. Light northerly breeze, but still gorgeous. Overnight tonight, we'll see some scattered clouds, temperatures in the 40s. Tomorrow, we'll see temperatures into the 50s. It is a cooler day. We definitely have some more clouds around, not quite as pretty, but hey, after we get through tomorrow, temperatures rebound, and by late in the week, we could be back in the 70s once again.
Time of year when people start to smile at me again.
Oh, we always smile.
Keep those temperatures going, you'll get that. Coming up, Angelina Jolie breaking her silence, opening up for the first time about her upcoming divorce from Brad Pitt. An interview, what she's now saying about their family and their future.
And a fast-moving